The Frankie from Flatbush Show. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Some of these indicators. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Phil Adams joins the inner square. All right, Phil, welcome to the membership. Let me know if you can hear and see me okay. I'm getting some weird indicators here. So I just want to make sure the microphone is working. You never know here at the Frankie from Flatbush Show. This is FSPN. It is Friday, May the 1st, 1800 hours on the East Coast of America. Phil Adams, wake up. Let me know. Audio 100%. All right. Yeah, well, what we're going to do, we're going to play the theme song. Let me know if there's any problems with this, Phil.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustle and dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
Careful. We got to be careful. Sounding as sharp as ever. Todd is here. Phil says sounding as sharp as ever. Okay, good. Deuteronomy's here. He's another member. You should probably be a member of the Inner Circle. You could hang out with old Deuteronomy, the Dodester. He wrote the book of Deuteronomy. He was also a New Paltz College rugby legend over here. You want to know about rugby at New Paltz? There's nobody you can ask any better than Alan Dowds. He's right here. He's in the Inner Circle. He gets the information. He goes to the posts on this channel and finds all the links and all the information. Just today, we posted some plays out of the playbook of Ohio State. You ever heard of them? Some of our players came from there. Want to know what playbook they were using while they were there? You become a member, you get it, you check it out, you look and see, oh, this is what Garrett Wilson was up to. All right, well. New boss legend Frankie. Hi, Karate is here. Deuteronomy's here. And some other folks are here. If you're here, let your voice be known in the chat. But you might be wondering, Deuteronomy says, I read all of the chemtrails content. Yes, and also please subscribe to the chemtrails. We're trying to build up our subscribers over there. We're going to be having new written content all the time, as Deuteronomy mentions here. So if you want the written content, sort of like written Frankie, and it's different content, of course. Some of the videos are also over there, but the written content exclusive to chemtrails, that's Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com. We got a Substack, and that comes right into your inbox free. You don't have to pay any money for that one. That comes free, but we'd appreciate it if you put in your email address. That way, we get our subscribers up, and Substack looks at us and goes, "Oh, look, there's people who like this thing over here." VV veterans here. And you might be wondering, what's going to happen when it's third down and we need a first down, and it's very important that we get this first down because it's a very important juncture in the game. You might be wondering, what is going to happen inside the stadium as the stadium becomes a little bit quiet and people are nervous and they start wondering what's going to happen. And, Aaron Glenn calls a timeout. We got to figure out, what are we going to do on this third down? We might see something like this.
Hey, yo! Check it out. Here it comes.
Something ain't right, yo.
Watch out, man. Here come that fool. He's packing. Here he comes.
Yo, son, come on. Yo, Omar coming, man. Oh, shit! Yeah. The cheese stands alone.
The cheese stands alone indeed. Omar coming. It's going to be third down and Omar. So get ready for that. And if the Jets are smart, they'll play that on the big screen. Lions here. Deuteronomy's here. What about Sadiq? Yeah, but we got to find, so we got an Omar coming. We got a clip for that. For Kenyon, we got to figure out what his clip's going to be or his theme song. Yeah. The most important thing with this football is you got to figure out what the theme songs are for these players. Let's be honest. Now, one of the things that you may be wondering, so that's on the offensive side where, Omar coming, third down and Omar. I think Omar Cooper is going to play a big role there. But you may be wondering, what is this David Bailey all about anyway? All I ever heard is Arvell Reese, and now we didn't get Arvell Reese, and now we have this David Bailey, and what's he all about? Well, one of the things you could do is you could look and see what David Bailey has been all about at Texas Tech, because I think we're going to use him very similarly. So now if you look at this right here, you might take a look and see, how are we going to use this man? Now this man is right here. And what you find when you start looking, and you could do a search on YouTube, you could do a search for Texas Tech against Oregon 2026 game. It's right there on YouTube. You could watch it. But he basically, this is a 4-3 defense, okay? You got your 4 down linemen, you got your 3 linebackers here. This is Rodriguez here. But what Bailey tends to do in a defensive end way, in a 4-3, he's in a 2-point stance almost always. He likes to be in a 2-point stance like this, okay? And then he gets into an athletic 2-point stance, where he bends his knees a little bit more. And he just terrorizes people by going over here and beating this motherfucker or this motherfucker or this mother. He just kills people. And I think that's what we're going to ask him to do, because we could be this could be a 3-down lineman with him out wide. We'll see what that's going to look like in a second. But we would have 2. So this linebacker would be gone, and this would be a nickel player. And we'll have our 2 linebackers, DeMario and Jamian. But he'll still be out here in his 2-point stance. Even if this guy was over here, this guy was over the center in a 0 tech and more of a 3 for alignment, you could still have Bailey out here. And if I were Glenn, that's how I would use him. Let's just, for the first year, now he could go out to the flat and he could do other things. But let's, for the first year, just have him hang out here or out here and just terrorize people from the edge, whether it's a running play or guys going back to pass. And I think that's what they got excited about when they started thinking about what could they do with Mr. Bailey. Because a lot of the things that you could do, he's already done. He's already been doing this at Texas Tech and also at Stanford before that. And so we can't play any of that because we'll get in trouble with YouTube. So we just had to show the static screen. But you get the idea. He's going to be in a 2-point stance on the outside of the formation, terrorizing people. Now, we also have this over here. 3rd down and Omar. Yeah, that's what it's going to be, because he's a reliable dude. Don't forget, he's very reliable with his hands. And then he breaks tackles like a motherfucker. That's a beautiful part. He doesn't even have to go past the sticks. You need to dump something off. You're getting a lot of pressure on 3rd down. Oh, no. Dump it off to Omar quick. All right, he's not behind the sticks yet, but that motherfucker breaks tackles like an animal, and he breaks a couple tackles. Now it is a 1st down, so it's going to be 3rd down and Omar, I think. Phil says, Braylon Allen looking fit and ready for action. Yeah, he looks like he's 100%. Same thing for Garrett. JoJo's here. Karate Jefe's here. Really don't have crazy high standards, but Braylon definitely worthy of Kenyans. Yeah, we got some muscular dudes with muscles on their muscles, that's for sure. And that's a good thing. Now, you might be saying, yeah, okay, that's what David Bailey did in college, but what about what Aaron Glenn is going to run in the pros? And that's where this comes in. So this is from Coach A. Go subscribe to him on Substack, Coach A, over here. And this is from when Aaron Glenn in 2024, when he was the DC of the Lions. You notice this is kind of similar to what Bailey was doing. Now, this would be our version of David Bailey. His name is Aiden Hutchinson. Well, he's not as good as Hutch, but it'll be similar. And there'll be times when we have 3 linebackers on the field, although sometimes this linebacker will be replaced by a nickel player or perhaps by a nickel player that could be a cornerback or a safety. This is Anzalone, this is Campbell, and this is Barnes, I think. So they had 3 really good linebackers. We did not opt to do that this year. So that tells me this 3rd player, instead of being a do-everything linebacker, instead is going to be either a 3rd safety or a nickel corner, depending on how they're matched up. And you can put this nickel corner over here to handle this player here, or whatever you want. In this particular situation, here's CD Lamb over here. So this is the Cowboys getting creative, trying to hide CD Lamb over here. Now, so I think we're going to see a lot of this. And again, these guys could be 3 techs. This is Aleem McNeil. He could be head up on the center to be a 0 tech. This guy could be moved over. You can move these 3 around. This is kind of a more traditional-ish 4-3. But if you notice, this guy is way out here, like a solid wide 9. And these 3 are kind of bunched up. So it kind of makes you go, is this a 3-4 or a 4-3? Because if McNeil was head up on the center, you would say, and this guy was a 4-eye and this guy was a 4-eye, you would say that's a 4-0-4, 3-4, but you have this guy out here. But if you look at Bailey as a linebacker, then it's almost like and let's say he was in a 2-point stance, you see Hutch is in a 4-point stance here. But, Bailey's going to probably be in a 2-point. And if he is he a linebacker? Is he a defensive end? Does it really matter? Are we playing positionless football? And so that's the interesting thing. It's almost like it doesn't matter, because what matters is where these guys line up and then what gap responsibilities the linebackers do have, or are they green dogging? Is this guy green dogging the tight end, for example? But whatever it is, it's going to look similar to this, where Bailey's the one out here. And sometimes you're going to have a McDonald out here. So a lot of times we're going to have what's called a bear front. We're going to have our two linebackers. This will be McDonald. This is Anzalone, but this will be McDonald out here. And then you'll have DeMario here and Sherwood here and Bailey here in his 2-point stance. And maybe they green dog a bit where if somebody goes out to the flat, they can do that. But otherwise, they're rushing. And then a lot of times we're going to insert our safety to help. And then our other safety named Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to go to the post. And we're going to be in one high, I think, a lot more. So that's sort of what to expect of Mr. Bailey now that we have him. I think we're going to that's how we're going to use him. And you see Coach A saying right here, the Lions have one of the most unique defenses in the NFL. Well, we certainly did not see a unique defense. I mean, it was uniquely terrible. Maybe you could say that, but last year from Mr. Glenn and Mr. Wilkes, so that wasn't good. But now that Glenn is taking over and you see the kind of roster that he's shaping, you can get some ideas about what he's going to do. So those are some initial, so those are some conversation starters that that I came up with today to just throw out there, say, hey, I think this is kind of what we're going to be doing. Some people might, not know. Maybe they didn't watch David Bailey that much since for a long time it looked like we weren't going to get Bailey. There's no way. We're taking Reese. And so maybe some people didn't even watch David Bailey that much and might not know that much about him. So I thought I'd bring some of that stuff out. Yeah, I don't think Micah Parsons said this, but he said something similar. He said very nice things about him, I'll say that. Chris Bradigan, he's a member of the Inner Circle. Now, the other thing is, you might be saying, well, we need some signings. Who else could we sign? Well, these people are still out there except that Xavier Harris got signed. So I don't know if you guys can see this. Man. This is getting bigger, but this image won't get bigger. But anyway, Xavier Harris signed, and so he's out. But this is Thor Nystrom's list of like the best available UDFAs. So Eric McAllister's on this list. Like I told you guys, McAllister is an interesting one. But Dante Corleone, I mean, just for the name alone, we should have him in here. I think he has an injury. His comp is Jordan Phillips. I mean, I'd get him in here. I mean, if you'd sign a UDFA and he's injured, can't you stash him on some kind of an IR or something? I mean, he might be good, or maybe not. Maybe he's a practice squad. But there's some other D linemen here that I don't know much about. David Gusta, I don't know. Offensive tackle, here's an edge player, Clay Patterson out of Stanford. So the Stanford Smarties should know something about him. Ahmad Moses is still available, a safety. You know, may want to part the Red Sea with Ahmad Moses, okay, and stuff like that. So there's some people on this list that have some appeal to us. But that's really it. I mean, otherwise, we're going to have to sign, some regular old free agents, and we have not made any moves since the draft whatsoever. So, Mooj is moving kind of slow on all this, but we'll have to see what he comes up with. But those are some names. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I wonder how this injury stuff works for these UDFAs. I'm sure if a team could stash a guy on some sort of UDFA injury list, somebody would have already signed McAllister and Corleone. I mean, we should sign Don Corleone for the name alone, let's be honest. But those are some people that are still available as well. Now, some of the teams are already getting work in. The fellas are showing up. They're doing a little bit of practicing, a little bit of equipment and everything else. We haven't even announced our rookie numbers. I mean, that's something a lot of people are curious about. And the Jets haven't even announced that. So what the heck is going on over here? Normally, we get a Friday dump of some news. The Jets signed somebody, some guy, and nobody's ever heard of. So... but we didn't get that today. So now there's no deadlines. There's no really important dates. These are all voluntary practices. Nobody's gonna, there's really no reason to sign anybody quickly unless you just, match up on the contract and you're both happy with it. So we'll have to see. Bradigan's here. He says, we need more linebackers. Well, yeah, let's take a look. So I put out a tweet, Of course, Frankie always has a tweet. Almost always. Here's a pinned tweet. When did I put this out? Yesterday. Got... got a lot of views, but we had this tweet here. Players, positions I'd be happy to hear the Jets reach an agreement with. Defensive tackle. We could use another defensive tackle. Cam Jordan's still out there. DJ Reader's still out there. Wide receiver. We could use another wide receiver on the team, just a veteran to fill out the roster. Noah Brown, Tyler Lockett. Quarterback, Josh Dobbs. That would be my favorite, personally, the Pastronaut. Very smart. Russell Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Cooper Rush. Those are basically the options. And then linebacker, Bobby Okereke, Matt Milano. Those are veteran guys who probably haven't been signed because of they've been, they're getting up there in age and or injury. But for the role we need them to play, the third linebacker, I would love to have either one of those guys. So I'm not sure why. Now, they may want to wait and see, and some team has some string of injuries and they can get a better deal, So that's the game you play at this point in time where, you want to get them at a certain price. They want a certain higher price, and they know there's no reason to come in now, really. So they might as well wait, and maybe somebody has an injury, somebody has a trade, something happens, and now all of a sudden they want to raise their price on what they want to pay you. So it doesn't hurt them really to wait, these type of veterans. And it could be a while. Until we get them in the building, whoever it is ultimately. But I would love to have an Okereke or a Milano. For me, I don't care that they have an injury history or getting a little bit old. Now, let's take a look at this roster over here, because we got a roster. And you can see we're a little bit short in the backup linebacker situation. If you don't count the outside linebackers / DNs, which I really don't. So Will McDonald, David Bailey, Kingsley Enagbare, and Joseph Asai, they all could be considered linebackers, but I wouldn't really call them that. The way we're talking about linebackers, we mean these people here. And these people here, I think Sherwood's going to bounce back in a big way this year. Demario Davis was performing at an elite level last year. I see no reason to think he won't do so again this year, but he is old and he could fall off at any moment. But then behind them, we only have McCrary, Ball, Marcelino, and Michael Walker. And so I'd love to have just one more veteran. These guys, Kobe King, Mathis, these are practice squad level players. So you're right. We need another one, in my opinion. And a part of me kind of wants to see McCrary Ball and Michael Walker play. If you remember, McCrary Ball was playing pretty good. I mean, he's a good special teamer, but he was playing pretty good when he got into the defense. But then he got injured, and also he had that stupid penalty where he was flopping around on the ground like a fish. We don't need that, Mr. McCrary Ball. Just make the tackles and get back in the huddle, please. But part of me wants to see if these guys could do it, but also part of me thinks they probably almost certainly cannot. And so you'd love to have a Matt Milano in here or an Okereke, in my opinion. We did not attack this in the draft at all. As you can see, all the people in orange are the draft picks. Now, as you can also see, something else has happened here. I have come to the realization that I believe that Dane Belton will be our starting strong safety this year. Out of this mix of people, it seems to me that it makes the most sense that if Minkah Fitzpatrick is moving to his natural position of free safety, which is good, and he'll probably continue to perform at an elite level if he does do that, and D'Angelo Pons, is going to be in the nickel, which is what we should want, because we should want Azarieh to win this job here. That way we have a long-term corner in Azarieh, and then rookie year, Pons plays nickel, and then maybe he moves outside when Stevens leaves. But this would be the best alignment, it seems to me, in the defensive backfield. And if Azarieh Thomas is good and Pons is as good as he was in college, if he continues that in the NFL, let's hope so. And if Stevens continues to be, solid, this is actually a good defensive backfield, because I believe Minkah is going to play at an elite level, and I believe Dane Belton can be a good strong safety, meaning he's the one who's going to be in the box more often, down in the box when we need a safety in the box. And Dane Belton, that's what he does best. He's good at tackling people, which is good. And then you have backups like Malachi Moore and VJ Max Payne. And maybe there might be times when Max Payne comes in as a big nickel to spell Pons when the other team is in 12, and we need a guy to cover tight ends, which he's also good at. So VJ Payne, of course, has to have the nickname of Max. He's got to be Max Payne. Got to be. We cannot have a guy on this team named Payne and not nickname him Max. No way. Nope. So I'm already getting started. VJ Payne is now Max Payne. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, then it's shame on you. That's on you, buddy. But yeah, one more linebacker would make me feel a lot more comfortable about this backup group here and basically become our linebacker 3. We could use a defensive tackle to replace Mozzie Smith. For example, if we signed Cam Jordan or a DJ Reader, they would replace Mozzie Smith, and Mozzie Smith would be on the very fringes of the roster, which is where he apparently belongs. And then, of course, beyond that, we need another quarterback because we have Gino and Klubnik. Okay, he's the development one. You really don't want a backup of Cook or Zappe, so we probably need another veteran. We need the 2 bums and a baby theory, though. If we sign another veteran, then the old Frankie theory of 2 bums and a baby comes true, but only it's different people than we thought, so kind of on the mark in a way. But then beyond that, this second string wide receiver position is looking not so hot. Isaiah Williams is fine for what he is. He's mostly a special teamer and a gadget wide receiver. That's fine. But then you have Irvin Charles and Arian Smith. Arian Smith is probably locked in to a spot because he's also a special teamer, but so is Irvin Charles. But I think you would like to upgrade the Irvin Charles position with a veteran who can actually do some things, or you roll the dice with this trio of backups. I mean, Williams and Smith are almost certainly going to make the team. It's really just a question of what you want to do with Irv Charles, if anything. Because if you get a guy like Tyler Lockett, he's not going to play on special teams. Maybe that's the problem. You know? But then we should have drafted one, or I don't know, maybe one of these. Maybe Colin Lacey, is able to displace Irvin Charles because he does have special teams experience. So, yeah. But I think even if we roll with this, we're probably fine, pending injuries, of course. If you have a string of injuries, then you're screwed, just like any team. But really, the more troubling part of all this is the defensive tackle room, which needs another one, the linebacker room, which needs another one. And I actually think, now, there's a lot of questions with regard to this backfield. Is Azareye'h Thomas good? We don't know. Is Minkah Fitzpatrick actually declining and actually going into, his toward retirement phase? We don't know. I don't think so, but we don't know. How good can Dane Belton be in a starting strong safety role? We don't know. D'Angelo Pons, he's making a jump from college, so how's he going to do? We're not sure. We think, we're optimistic, we love it, but you got to see it. So there's a lot of question marks out here, but all those question marks could very reasonably be answered in the affirmative. And then if that's the case, we have some decent backups here. Nashawn Wright, Malachi, Max Payne, Stiggers, and Brown Lee. So we have some decent backups there. So really, you're talking about one more linebacker, one more defensive tackle, a backup quarterback, and maybe a wide receiver. I mean, that's not a terrible roster. It really is not. Could VJ playing? So when you're talking about Max Payne, he's going to play the strong safety. So whether you want to call that a linebacker or not, it's up to you. Like I was saying before, positionless football. If a guy comes down into the box from the safety position and he's standing next to Sherwood and DeMario, he's literally standing next to them, is that a linebacker or is that a safety? Right? It really doesn't matter. What matters is he's in the box and he's going to have to tackle some fuckers. So, yes, he's backing up. He's specifically backing up Dane Belton, but I think Belton's going to get the first shot at it because Max Payne is a 7th-round pick. Dane Belton, we signed as a free agent. He does have experience. I was watching some tape on Dane Belton. He is a good tackler. That is his strength. So I think Belton, unless Max Payne comes in and just blows the doors off as a rookie, which is unusual, especially for a 7th-round pick, Payne will probably be a backup and let him be on special teams and then let him develop. I mean, you can't expect a 7th-round rookie to be a starting player who's any good. Could it happen? Yeah. But more likely, he's a special teamer this year, a backup to Belton, and then hopefully he develops into your starting strong safety. That'd be nice. But you certainly can't count on it. That's why I took him out of the starting position. I think Pons... Now, Brownlee could beat out Pons. I doubt it, but... So, I think Pons and Bailey are a different story. They're pretty high draft picks, so I think they're going to get every opportunity to start at their positions, especially Bailey, of course. But Payne and Jackson, right now they're backups, and that's fine. And hopefully they're productive and, useful, basically. Yeah, Bradigan gets it. I'm just calling it, forget this VJ. I mean, who needs VJ? What, vertical jump? We don't need vertical jump Payne. That makes no sense. We're calling him Max Payne. That's what he is. No, it's Max Payne, Deuteronomy. Jojo Jet should look at Milano. Yeah, that's what we said. Seeing Ghosts is here. Seeing Ghosts is a member of the Inner Circle. You could be a member of the Inner Circle for just $2 a month. Hey, you get all sorts of extras, and you could hang out with Seeing Ghosts. And you could hang out with Deuteronomy and Phil Adams and tons of other people like Joe Mike and Harry W., some of the legends of the chat. I mean, some of these people are absolute legends of the chat. Harry W., Phil Adams, Philip from England. What? Yeah, you can hang out with him. Look, here's Joe Mike right here. You could hang out with old Joe. Hey, kick it around. Say, what up, buddy? Cafe says, I've heard some analysts say that Payne would be best converted to cornerback. He gets confused by play actions and is an inconsistent tackler. No, I don't think so. So they talk about his eye discipline. He's not going to be a corner because he's not going to be a corner. So let him come in. He's going to be a backup. He's a 7th-round player. Let's just let him develop. What he's going to do, first of all, is be on special teams and kill people. Okay? He's going to be one of our special teams killers. I mean, our special teams is going to be so good this year to knock your head off. But, so there's that. And then let's get him situated. Let him get behind Dane Belton, learn from Minka Fitzpatrick, learn from Malachi, learn from Andre Sisco, and see what he is. He's almost certainly not going to become a cornerback because cornerback is a lot harder to play. Cornerbacks who wash out at cornerback become safeties, not the other way around. And this kid has a linebacker background, not a cornerback background. So let's let him develop. He's a 7th-rounder. He has some speed. He has some hit stick ability. He has some size to him. Okay, those are good things. And we're going to put him on special teams and tell him to go kill people. All right. And then we'll see how he develops. But it's very rare that you take a safety and make him a corner. That's not how that works. Generally. Could it happen? I guess anything could happen. But no. If anything, he gets bigger. Because he's a little skinny right now. If anything, if he fills out a little bigger, you would make him a box safety. I mean, a linebacker. If he got big, he's got to get bigger and stronger. And if that happened, then you'd make him a linebacker. You wouldn't make him a corner. That doesn't make any sense. Joe Mike, linebacker, center, kicker, biggest Jets needs. Well, center's not going to be addressed. Okay. All right, back to the roster so I can explain to everyone how things will work. So center, we already addressed center in terms of Inez Cooper. So what happens is Josh Myers is your starting center. He's not going anywhere. He's your starting center. And all these people are making the backups. Chooks, Max, Hartwig will not. I'm not sure why I have Hartwig above Newman. Newman should be here. But anyway, then you have Inez, and Newman may make the team or he may be on the practice squad, depending how many they keep. But Chooks, Mitchell, and Inez Cooper are making the team as backups, and maybe Xavier Newman also. But if Josh Myers gets hurt, we already have 2 backup centers playing guard. So Joe Tippmann will slide over to center, Inez Cooper will slide into guard, and that is what we will do. If Tippmann gets hurt, then we'll slide Parham. So your 2 backup centers are really Tippmann and Parham. And then if he's going to be out, that's if he gets injured in game. Then if he's going to be out long term, of course, we'll see what we want to do long term. But if he gets injured in game, that's what happens. Now, Newman is really your true backup center, and we'll see if they keep him on the 53-man or on the practice squad. But really, Cooper's going to go into guard, and then those other guys can play center. So that's how that's going to work. I don't think we're picking up any centers unless something strange happens. That's probably your center alignment. So I would get center out of your mind, Joe, if I were you. Linebacker, and then kicker. Kicker, we'll see what happens with these 3. Now, we have York and Krieg and Farron. I'd prefer Farron win the job. If one of these 3 just outperforms and everything's good to go and everything's looking good, then we just go with that person. Could be Lenny Krieg. Could be Leggy Lenny. We don't know. But it could also be that toward the end of camp, none of these guys are playing good and we sign Daniel Carlson or we sign whoever. So it could be a veteran. Looks like we're going to stream our kicker again unless Will Farron can win the job. This is a guy who was a UDFA, and it's basically the same as drafting them. So instead of drafting him in the 7th round, we just signed a UDFA. And so hopefully he wins the job, and he's a young guy out of BYU. And also, by the way, Garrison Grimes is going to push Thomas Hennessy. This Grimes kid is very, very athletic, according to his profile. So you might say, what does that have to do with long snapping? Well, they do have to run down and cover the punts as well. And Hennessy is going to be 32 years old, but he is very reliable, and you never have a problem. You never even hear about Thomas Hennessy, which is, from a long snapper point of view, good. But this Garrison Grimes, also from BYU, might push him, and Coach Banjo might want the young fella. So personally, I'd be a little worried. I would want old reliable myself, but these two players over here are the two UDFAs who have the biggest shot at making it right now, probably, just because there's an easier path for them. Grimes just has to beat out Hennessy, and then Farron just has to kick the best out of this trio of who knows kickers. Cade York is not a very good kicker, or at least he hasn't been so far. Krieg is an international pathway player, so who knows? He's from Germany. The Blitzkrieg, Leggy Lenny. But so Farron has a good shot. He has as good a shot as anybody. He was ranked the 4th best kicker in this draft. I don't know how they rank these kickers, but he was ranked the 4th best, and Garrison Grimes was the 4th best long snapper. So we got him as a UDFA, so it's just the same as drafting him. So hopefully we'll see, but whoever wins the job wins the job. I'm not worried about kicker. And then I'll be very interested to see what we do with this wide receiver. Is Irv Charles really going to be our 6th wide receiver? Seems a little short, but then again, he offers, because if you have Williams, Charles, and Smith, they all play special teams, so that adds to their value. So Phil says, Harry W. is a true legend. Yeah, everybody knows that. Radigan says, I'm worried about that. Well, what do you want me to tell you? The best kicker wins. Whoever kicks the best wins. We decided not to spend money on it, and then just think of Will Farron. Like, if we drafted Will Farron, would you be happier? I bet you if we kept that 7th round pick instead of spending it on trying to go get Inez Cooper, if we kept it and we drafted him, would you be more optimistic? I bet you would, Bradigan. Well, just pretend like we drafted him. What's the difference? Right? If we had drafted him, you'd be saying, hey, we got our long-term guy, we drafted him. Well, we got him as a UDFA. What's the difference? South Dakota Jets, simpleton question. How many wins this year? All right, let's put it up to the chat. Chat, put your win total in the chat. Let's put South Dakota's question into the super chat here. Put in the chat how many wins. You just saw the roster. You saw the roster. We do have to play the entire AFC West this year, and we have to play the NFC West. So think about that. We're going to have to play the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and then we got to play people like the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Cardinals over there, and all of them. So put in your chat how many wins. I say we're going to be in the 9 to 10 win range. But I'm very optimistic about Geno Smith. UDFA says, couldn't we have signed a better one? Well, we signed the 4th best one. The other ones went to other teams. So the Tokyo Toe went to, and he was the 5th best. He went to the Raiders, and then Dominic Zerada went to some other team. And then the 1st best kicker, Trey Smack, got drafted. So, I don't know. That's all the people. Who do you want us to sign? We signed the 4th best. He had a better year in 24 than 25. I don't know. Who knows with these kickers? So, Kevin says 10 in the playoffs. Phil Adams said 7. Excuse me. Man, got to keep drinking water. What would we do without water? Oscar Hefe says 10 wins. Optimistic. Joe Mike, very pessimistic person. I've noticed this about Joe Mike, very pessimistic. He says 5 wins. El cinco. Boy, 5 wins. El cinco, el stinko. If we win 5 games, does Glenn keep his job? That's the question. That would be a tough. I guess it depends how we lose. Deuteronomy says 9 wins. Bradigan says 6 to 7. So Joe Mike is on the low side. Seeing Ghost 9. Karate 7 to 10. That's a big range, Karate. Bradigan correction 6 to 8. Joe Mike says I preferred the Iowa kicker. Yeah, but somebody else signed him, I think. 7 is the floor. Anything less, AG is gone. I think it depends. Like if Gino were to get hurt or something, and it depends how it looks. But you're right. They really, other than that, they really need to get at least 7. I agree. We gotta get this damn thing figured out. Friggle D is here. There's a chat legend, old Friggle D. Friggle Dish. Friggle 7 for, all right. So everybody's sort of around 6, 7-ish. Joe Mike is very low, I would say. Joe Mike's the low. Some people, I think Cafe and I are on the high end with 10. I said 9 to 10. Seeing Ghost says, I'm high on Gino also. Sick of the March for Arch or whatever. BS. Yeah, me too. Jojo says 7 to 9. Friggle D, they still need more depth. Yep. Yeah, we already talked about that, Friggle D. 27 class may be just as bereft as talent as this year. Yeah, so like the thing you should really hope for is for Gino to be really good. And then he earns like a 3-year contract. That's really a 2-year contract, one of those deals. That allows us the flexibility of, hey, if it makes sense to get a quarterback next year, great. If not, we just run it back with Gino. Like what if Gino, somebody put out today that they're predicting Gino throws for over 4,000 yards and 32 touchdowns and 13 picks. That type of year. Which is not unreasonable if you look at his Seattle stats. And we did a full breakdown of Gino and well, not a full break, a pretty big breakdown, I would say, of Gino and Frank Reich on my Substack, on Chemtrails. Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com. You may want to read it and subscribe to it, please. But yeah, if you want to see like the optimistic case for Gino and combined with the play caller, which is very important. But, if Gino throws for 4,000 and does 32 touchdowns and 13 picks, guess what? He's coming back. Now, that doesn't mean we can't pick one of these guys in the first round either. And hopefully Klubnik develops to where he's at least a high-end backup, and that'd be nice. And then, next year, whatever makes sense, you do it. Now, one thing we've seen with Muji in this front office, they do smart things, okay? I don't want to hear about dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. Muji has not done dysfunctional things ever since he got his staff together at the end of the summer last year, right? All the trades he made, very smart. All the free agent signings and minor little trades like to get Gino and stuff, all made tons of sense. How we got Fitzpatrick, that was technically a trade, all made tons of sense. And then this draft, with the exception of the Klubnik trade, which you could argue, but they really wanted Klubnik. Let's see how Reich developed him. This is the guy he wanted. One thing we learned after the draft, this is a guy, Frank Reich, and presumably Billy Moosegravy, really, really wanted. So let's give him a chance to develop him. This was your handpicked guy, Reichy, right? So you may think, well, Klubnik's not bad, but the problem was the trade. Yeah, all right. And so we could have had an extra receiver or an extra D tackle or whatever, but That being the case, other than that, the draft went really well. Everybody around the world is giving us at least a B-plus grade, if not better. I've seen some A's, A-minus, A-plus. That's basically everybody. The consensus board has us as the 4th best draft in the league. Perfect. I showed you the Kevin Cole thing. Said we improved the most with the free agents that we made, the signings we did. We improved the most, and then consensus board says we had the 4th best draft in the whole NFL. Consensus board is just every expert put their grade up, give it a numerical score, and see where you come out. 4th best. So that tells you Muji's doing a good job, and Muji means the whole front office, including Glenn. Right? So everything he's done has been smart since that time, when he got his staff together. So to me, that means they're going to handle these situations going forward smartly, probably. I mean, it seems like they're putting together a track record where you can believe in them, right? As opposed to some of these other dummies like Idzik and McCagg Dum-Dum and, even Joe Douglas. Although Joe Douglas had his moments and he tried his hardest, I don't think he was up to the task, really. But he had some good moments, had some good drafts, had some good signings and so forth and so on. Made some good trades. Particularly the Jamal Adams trade. But it seems like Muji and this front office is maybe a cut above those. You heard him say that he and his staff put together a whole new draft system. So part of what they did in that whole year, once they got all established and he got all of his people and he got all of his data analytics people, don't forget that. He hires all those people, Fusillo and all that, and the members know all about him, by the way. The Inner Circle members also know all about our AI team, AI and data analytics team, headed up by Iwow Fusillo. Sounds like a superhero, but he's an actual human being. Very good on the AI stuff. Excellent experience. Very impressive guy, and now he works for us. It's fantastic. And Mooj hired him. And nobody's talking about that. I mean, members of the Inner Circle, they know about it, but nobody outside of that group is talking about it. And that group must have been involved in this new system that Mooj designed. Got new number system, new coloring, beautiful things. And then you say, okay, well, who cares? Fuck that. What's the result? Okay, well, we just had a result where we were graded the 4th best draft in the whole NFL by consensus board, people who don't like us, by the way. And then the people who do like us, the Badlands Bros, me, everybody else I've seen, although it's not too many people, but everybody feels pretty good about this draft, I think, except for the Klubnik trade, of course. But other than that, everybody's feeling pretty good. With Inez Cooper and Darrell Jackson, even those type of picks, I think were great value picks. Those are people who are going to be contributors. They're not going to be starters and big-time people. Yeah, let me tell you something about this Inez Cooper. I don't know if you've been looking at him. You know what he's going to do? Let me just paint a picture for you, will you? Allow me to paint a picture called how Inez Cooper is going to help us fuck people up. Here's how. Okay, it's 3rd and inches. Here comes gigantic Inez Cooper, tackle eligible. Reporting in as eligible, number 73, Inez Cooper. All right. And he's going to be a battering ram. This man is a gigantic human being. And he's just going to fuck people up. And then Braylon Allen's going to go, thank you very much. I will get this first down now very easily because they can't tackle me if they're on the fucking ground. You see? Nobody's thinking about this but old Frankie. Watch Inez Cooper, short yardage situations. Here's what you do, Inez. Be a battering ram and just take motherfuckers out so Braylon Allen could get an inch or two. You think that's helpful? 3rd and inches, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. We need to cut a yard or two. Here comes this gigantic human, and his entire job is to wipe out your defensive line with a ferocity. Nobody thinking about these things, but that really helps because now you get a first down. Now you can move the ball. It's almost like the Eagles with the tush push. All right, we don't need a tush push around here. We got Inez Cooper. He's going to fuck everybody up. And by the way, you're gonna get up from the ground, and those little birdies are gonna be circling around your head. Tweet, 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 tweet. I need a timeout, coach. I can't see straight. You know. It's gonna be beautiful. Telling you. Watch. Put that fucker in motion. Put that fucker in motion. Get out of here with this shit. Oh, now we got a lot of stuff here. Jojo, just need to hope Sellers, Carr, Mensa play well. Yeah. We'll get into the quarterbacks later. I don't want to get into that now. If Gino is a top 15 QB, then we're doing great. I think he can be. Faith and Moose Gravy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we talked about that. Super Cooper, yeah. Okay, so we caught up on these chats. Joe Mike says, reports indicated that 2 other teams were eyeing Klubnik around the same spot. Yeah, but the idea there should be, the problem with that kind of logic is you really shouldn't have Klubnik graded that much better than Cole Payton, right? So, but they did. I mean, what the trade-up tells you is they really had Klubnik graded much higher than Cole Payton, right? That's what it really tells you. And if that's the case, hey, go get your guy. All right. I'm willing to see it out. I've watched enough tape on Cade Klubnik to see what you can see with him. There's a lot of good on tape. There's a lot of bad. It's like it's inconsistent. But you can see what they like about him. He's athletic. He has a good arm. He has a better arm than people are telling you. He has a lot of experience, a ton of experience. 40 starts, I think. 4-0. That's a lot. So he has all this experience. He has athleticism. He has a better arm than you think. He can make all the throws. And then on top of that, they say the words that some of the people who would know use to describe him are gym rat and whiteboard warrior. And that means he's got it up here and he's going to work really. Gym rat means he's going to work really hard. So those are a lot of things to like about a 4th round pick. I mean, this is not a guy you took with the 2nd overall pick here. You took him. That's a big difference. So when you have all those positives, and there are, of course, negatives as well, but, you know, there's a lot to work with there. There's a lot to work with. And you're hoping to develop a backup. You're not hoping that he's a savior of a franchise like we did with Zach and Darnold. So that's a different thing. So let's give it time. Let's see. This is who they wanted. But it really just tells you that they had Klubnik graded a lot higher than Cole Payton, because I would have had those two graded similarly. And I probably would have had Cole Payton higher because I think his ceiling is higher, whereas Klubnik's floor is probably higher. So if it were me, I would have preferred the high ceiling guy, because if you hit, then it really hits, you know. But it just tells you that they had Klubnik higher, and they were worried somebody else was going to take him, so they went and got their guy. Now, you know, I don't love it. I really don't. But at the same time, there's a lot to like with the kid. So let's see what happens. Now, Reich, it's going to be up to Reich and Moose Gravy to develop the kid. I mean, so let's see. There's a lot to like on tape. He has 40 starts, and everybody was complaining that the other quarterbacks we were thinking about didn't have enough starts. That, you know, Simpson only has 15 starts. This kid has 40 starts. I mean, including some big games and some bowl games and things. So tons of experience. That's a lot to build off of, and he's still relatively young. He has the athleticism. He has the arm, and he was a 5-star recruit. So the talent was there from the high school time, you know, when he got recruited. And so, you know, there's a lot of positives, but, you know, the most important thing is the thing that's problematic on tape, which is the decision making at times. And I would recommend everybody go watch the Kurt Warner breakdown of Cade Klubnik. I think that's a good one. And he points out some of the things he does really well and some of the things that he doesn't do well. He has some of these decisions he makes where it's like, what the hell were you thinking? And other times, there's just a lack of execution. Like there's one play that stands out to me in my mind where he's playing South Carolina and he has everything perfect. And he has his matchup that he sees on the right-hand side. He throws, it's a touchdown. There's nobody in his face. He has no pressure for once. One thing you do like about him, he does know how to throw from pressure. He was pressured a lot, as opposed to Zach Wilson didn't have that much experience with pressure. This kid does. So, I mean, sometimes he doesn't make the right decision with it, but still he's been pressured a ton in his career. So he does have that under his belt. But in this case, he has a touchdown. It's a one-on-one. The receiver has two or three steps on the cover guy, who's a safety, Jalen Kilgore on South Carolina, who did get drafted. But Klubnik underthrows it, and it gets picked off. And it's like, why? That's one of those things where I would want to show him that play and say, okay, what happened here? There's no pressure. He sees it. He makes the right choice. He throws it on time, and he just underthrows it. And Kilgore jumps up and picks it off. And it's like, okay, why did you do that? Because if you put it out ahead of, over his shoulder, it's an easy touchdown. It should have been. And we're not going to know what the kid would have answered if you would asked him. Maybe there is a real reason, but you don't know. But that's the type of play that you would draw up with him and say, all right, what happened here? You did everything right. Everything's perfect until the throw. And there was no reason that you can see on tape for the underthrow, like he was getting pressured or something. So you'd have to ask him and see what he said. Maybe there's a real reason for it. I don't know. But that's the type of thing that frustrates the hell out of you when you're evaluating the kid, because there's just no reason he shouldn't make the throw. He can make it, and if you gave it to him 10 times, he'd probably make it 9 out of 10. but there's one play that's on tape. He didn't make it. So you got to go, what the fuck is going on here? And that's the frustrating part with these quarterbacks. And it's not atypical. These guys coming out, they're inconsistent. That's, it's just the way it goes. There's very few that are just surefire. I mean, the first overall pick is probably going to sit on the bench. So, if he's not even good enough to start right away, what can you expect from this 4th round pick of Klubnik? So, yeah. Friggle Lee, Cowboys and Broncos were right there with 2 picks apiece. The Cowboys, the Broncos, I mean, why are they taking quarterbacks? For what? Deuteronomy. I didn't think I'd be excited for training camp, but I'm definitely going to a couple of Saturday camp days now. Yeah, I think this camp is going to be interesting, Dodes, because the beat reporters will tell us a lot of information. Like they may... if we're getting reports from the beat reporters this year, like, wow, the defense looks a lot better than I thought. Like, that's the kind of thing you want to hear them say. Because they know what it looks like. And if they're telling you, yeah, this defense, probably a little improved, but not much, if they're saying things like that, that's bad. We don't want that. We want them saying, yeah, this defense looks a lot faster than I thought, or a lot better than I thought. And for the offense, you want them to say, wow, Gino looks like he's really on his P's and Q's. Let's see him do it in the real season. But you want them to say, yeah, he looks like he's on it. But then they'll put a caveat like, but it's just, it's just training camp. So, but you want them to say things like that. And like, Omar Cooper's making play, all the good things. But I'm more curious, like, what they're going to say about the defense. Because right now, the beat reporters are kind of down on the defense and they think it stinks. I can understand why. There's a lot of questions, but at the same time, I do think there's a very good chance a lot of those questions turn out in the positive instead of the negative. And so, let's see. We'll see. Klubnik sounds better every day. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, just go and watch. I mean, you can watch whole games now on YouTube. Just put in a Clemson game and watch from this year. Watch a bunch of Clemson games. I got very frustrated watching that South Carolina game. I was like, okay, that's good. Then it came to that play, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And it was very frustrating. But that's what you do as a scout, though. But you have to watch a lot. You can't just watch a few or one game. You got to watch a lot of plays. That's the frustrating part. It takes a lot of time. Jojo says, I think the Jets preferred Klubnik experience in the amount of game. Yeah, that's probably what they liked about him. I think they were impressed with him as a person, too. You heard, so one of the things that was a parallel for me, you heard after the draft that Simpson really, really knocked the socks off, I guess that's the phrase, of Sean McVay, right? They had the secret meeting, right? He had a secret meeting with Sean McVay, and they talked for 2 hours, and McVay was just head over heels with this kid. He loved him. Talking ball, and when the brain part. Well, there was a parallel that nobody picked up on, not too many people because it's not Sean McVay, but Frank Reich met with Klubnik, and I think he had the same type of reaction, like, ooh, this kid really has it up here. And then, you heard Country Club Connor use that in a negative way to say he's a whiteboard warrior. He's getting that from Dum Dum Sala and Dum Dum Olbrich. Those, Country Club Connor's sources are Robert Sala and Jeff Olbrich and Mike LaFleur and all the people who hate the Jets. So if they're going to comment on Cade Klubnik, instead of saying he's super smart, they'll say he's a whiteboard warrior. That's a negative way to say the same thing, right? So you got to be careful with these fuckers, as we always talk about. But the key point is, Reich, I think, came away from those meetings going, ooh, this is my Ty Simpson, knowing, okay, we weren't going to spend that kind of capital on a Simpson, so who's going to be available? And he probably had a bucket of Aller and Klubnik and Payton and maybe Beck. Who knows? Beck went in the third round. It was crazy. And maybe Nuss was in there too. And maybe they had a system. Maybe they had Aller ahead or Beck ahead. God's sakes. Hope not. But anyway, they might have. But those guys went. So they probably, out of the guys remaining, it was pretty clear they really, really liked Klubnik. You saw it with how they traded for him. And then you heard all the stories that when they went and worked him out, Reich was, super excited with this kid and what he was saying. And then you put together all of the, you start to piece together all of the things people were saying. Oh, this kid's a gym rat. Well, if he's a gym rat, that means he's just going to always be at the facility, right? That's what a gym rat is. So he's going to be, so you're not going to have any problems with, getting in trouble with the law or anything like that, staying out at night, drinking and the women and all. And none of that is going to be a problem with this kid. He's going to be at the facility for fucking 12 hours a day because he's a gym rat. That's what they said. I mean, if it's true, we got to see, but that's what they're saying. I don't doubt it either. And then they're saying he's a whiteboard warrior and he's going to help you out in the film room and in the quarterback room. Well, that means he's really smart, right? You can't be a whiteboard warrior and be a dummy, right? So what whiteboard warrior means, this is a very bright kid. All right, well, so he works hard. He's really bright. It's important to him. You saw how excited he was when we drafted him. He really wanted to be a Jet. That says something. Not everybody wants to get excited about coming to New Jersey. And so there's something to that. And then you watch him play and he's got a lot of talent. He's athletic. He makes plays on the run. He's got a good arm. But then he makes stupid decisions at times and it frustrates the hell out of you. But I mean, he was a 5-star for a reason. And people thought after the 2024 season, he was going to be a Heisman candidate. There were high hopes for this kid, and then he played really poorly to begin the year. Muji said he was injured. Who knows about that? But if he was injured, and that was, members of the Inner Circle, Phil Adams is a new member now. Phil, you now have access to the scouting files on Cade Klubnik. Okay, people, we have the files. We have the scouting files, so you can see how scouts looked at this kid. And in the beginning, it was bad. The first part of the year, they went 1-3 to start the year. This was a club that was supposed to win their conference, and he started out 1-3. The team did, and he played very poorly. So in college football, when you are supposed to win your conference and then you lose your 3 out of your first 4 games, some of those games not against high competition. If you know college football, you usually schedule some cupcakes in the beginning because there's no preseason. So they started out 1-3 when he played bad. The team was supposed to win the conference, and he was supposed to be a Heisman Trophy candidate, and he was looking terrible, and the team was looking terrible. So everybody wrote him off. They were like, "Well, he sucks. Fuck this kid." And they started focusing on Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore and Diego Pavia and all these other players who were doing better and that were going to make the playoffs. It was looking like and Ty Simpson and everybody else. So that's what happened. And then you see in the scouting reports, game 4, game 5, game 7, game 10, he's getting better and better. And they're saying, oh, this is looking like what we thought it was going to be. But by then, the whole season was pretty much ruined for him, So, but point is, Inner Circle members, you get things like scouting files on Cade Klubnik, so you can see what it looks like. And that's what it is. So there's a lot to like about him, regardless of how we got him. He's on the roster. And, now I would just say, let's see what Reich does. This is the guy you wanted, Frankie boy. This is the one, right? So let's see what he does with him. Let's give him a chance. Let's not hate on the kid. And also, he seems like a good kid. So let's root for him. He's on our team now. So no real reason not to root for him. Will he perform? Who knows? But he should at least be better than Brady Cook. So, Meehan is here. Saw a video of Marshall Manning. Oh, yeah, there's a Marshall Manning. That's Peyton's son. Bradigan. All right, see you, Bradigan. FA says, Sala, yuck, useless HC. Yeah. Let's hope so. Well, we'll see about. There's so many of our ex-coaches everywhere around the league, right? Coming up, Seeing Ghost says the upcoming college QB prospects should be wary about manning up and playing hurt, as it will haunt them come draft time. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't like this whole thing about he was playing hurt. If you're injured, you shouldn't play. So, in other words, you're going to show you're tough, but in order to show you're tough, you're going to hurt your team's chances from winning? That doesn't sound very smart, right? So, I don't like this whole playing hurt thing. Simpson did it. They said the same thing about Nussmeier. He went in the 7th round. They said the same thing about Klubnik, or at least Mooj mentioned it. So I don't like this whole thing of playing hurt. If you're injured, don't play. Especially a guy like Klubnik. He's got so many games under his belt. He didn't have to worry about that. Simpson had a bit of a problem there because he waited the year before. Should have played the year before, really. But anyway, that's where we are. So for a Friday night, let's put in a final call for questions, comments, concerns. I would recommend everybody joining the Inner Circle. $2 a month, the best value you'll ever get, including scouting stuff, playbooks, you name it, you get it. Inner Circle, $2 a month. Click the join button down below. If you're new here, click the subscribe button. Love to have you as a subscriber. Or just click the thumbs up button. We always want a nice thumbs up. And if you're looking for good and different written content about the Jets, sign up for chemtrails. Go to frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. Put in your email, sign up. It's free. We're going to keep everything free over there. So, you got to give an email. That way it comes right to your email inbox. What could be better? So sign up for that. Trying to build up the subscriber base for the written site. I think there's going to be a lot of really good content. There's a lot of things that I can write about that's not really appropriate for a video, so That's where the written content goes over there. It's sort of like the website version of FSPN, I guess you could say. We're expanding our operations. I'm also on Instagram if you want to follow me there, if that's a place where you're at. Phil says, coffee with Frankie Sunday? Yeah, Phil. And by the way, if you join up, now you can hang out with Phil Adams. He's now a member of the Inner Circle, and you could be too. But yeah, we're doing coffee with Frankie this Sunday. Yeah, absolutely. Coffee with Frankie, 10 a.m. Sunday. Why not? Seeing Ghosts, just curious how many Jet fans watching are currently living in Florida. Yeah, put it in the chat. How many are living in Florida? I don't think there's going to be that many Seeing Ghosts. I don't think so. And people may not want to give up their location. They may want to keep it hidden. But we got Frankie fam all over the globe, really. We got Braden in New Zealand. We got Phil Adams in England. We got people all over the place. All over the place. Let's just check the wires to see if anything else has happened since we've been chatting. In case you missed it, Fernando Mendoza will be wearing number 15 for the Raiders. In case you're curious about that. The Jets have not released their rookie numbers, which is a little surprising at this point in time. The Colts will not pick up the fifth-year team option for Anthony Richardson. So Anthony Richardson will be a free agent after 2026. Banks of the Vikings will be number 95. I would guess his nickname is probably Money. Speaking of Banks, Deonte Banks, fifth-year option for the Giants, not picked up. So Deonte Banks, the cornerback, that's a pick that did not work out. He will be a free agent after 2026, unless they sign him to a long-term deal. So yeah, no transactions by the Jets on a Friday. A lot of times we get a Friday news dump from the Jets. Looks like that's not happening today. So yeah, that's the latest and greatest. Anthony Richardson, let's not get him. I don't think we're in danger of getting him. Oh, yeah, BC Salami. He changed his name to Sunshine Salami, and then he went into sunset mode. All right, well, thanks, everybody, for joining. Have a good evening. We'll see you on Sunday at 10 a.m. Don't forget the Substack, frankiefromflatbush.substack.com, for the written Frankie content.